The Prophet 10 is a beautiful, amazing instrument, but you may run into situations where you aren't able to keep it in tune. In this video, I will show you how to get your Prophet in tune and keep it in tune. If you follow my channel, you'll know about my early struggles keeping my Prophet 10 in tune. Fortunately, I was able to work through these, and I created a video describing my journey, which I've linked in the video description. The Prophet is a pure analog synthesizer. It uses voltage-controlled oscillators which are sensitive to temperature variations, so you may experience some sour notes when playing it. There is a built-in tune button to bring the Prophet back in tune, but it doesn't work the way most people think. So, is your Prophet in tune or not? Before you go down the Prophet tuning rabbit hole, you should determine if your Prophet really is out of tune. Oftentimes, the Prophet may sound out of tune, but what you might be hearing is the LFO causing some dissonance. Or you may be playing a patch that has intentionally put one of the two oscillators out of tune on purpose to make the sound fatter. Another possibility is the keyboard's aftertouch is mapped to the LFO, and you're unintentionally triggering the LFO by putting extra pressure on the keys while playing. Also, you could have the vintage knob purposely putting your tuning out. To eliminate these variables and to determine if you're truly out of tune, load a basic preset on your Prophet by holding down the record button, then pressing the preset button at the same time. Make sure the vintage knob is set to 4 and play a few chords and take a listen. If you still hear wobble or dissonance, manually turn off the LFO and try again. If you still hear sour notes, it's likely your oscillators are out of tune and need calibration. To calibrate your Prophet's tuning, you can press the Tune button. Since Sequential does not publish any information on how the Tune button works, I will share how I think it could be working based on my understanding of electronics, software engineering, and my own experience with the Prophet. The Prophet manual talks about a calibration table. I suspect this table contains data points to properly adjust the input voltage to the VCO at the particular temperature to put that VCO in tune. By pressing the Tune button, you are telling the Prophet to record the temperature of the internal cabinet, then compare the VCO output to A440, referencing a stable tuning oscillator, then calculate the voltage adjustment needed to bring the VCO in tune with A440. In fact, there's an A440 button on the Prophet 10 panel at the top right. After the calibration table is populated, the next time you play a note, the Prophet measures the internal temperature and references the calibration table to determine the voltage adjustment needed to correct the VCO tuning. Again, this is just my theory on how the Tune button works. There's probably a lot more that goes into this, such as deciding what voltage adjustment to use when the observed temperature is not in the calibration table. And what happens if you calibrate at the same temperature more than once. Hopefully, Sequential will share some details with its customers so we have a better understanding of what the calibration process actually does. Something else to keep in mind when pressing the Tune button. By the time the calibration is completed, the internal temperature of the Prophet may have changed, especially if you just turned it on. So it's like trying to shoot a moving target. It's probably best to let the Prophet fully warm up before playing it and then calibrating if you observe any tuning issues at that point. My dad drove a brown 1970s Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme he called Old Betsy. He souped up the engine and installed cherry bomb glass pack mufflers. This car was ridiculous. When he started the car in the morning, the windows in our house would rattle and it sounded like 8 drummers all playing different tempos and different beats. But as the car warmed up, it started to sound more like a well-rehearsed drum line in a marching band. Like Old Betsy, the Prophet needs time to warm up. When we first turn on the Prophet, the components of the internal cabinet will be room temperature. But over the next 5 to 10 minutes, the internal cabinet temperature of the Prophet rises as the power supply and other components start to generate heat. Since the Prophet doesn't have any obvious ventilation, the internal heat builds and will eventually plateau. This leveling out of the temperature is what I would refer to as its stable operating temperature, and it is at this temperature that you should expect your Prophet to have its most stable tuning. If you are still having problems getting and keeping your Prophet in tune after it has warmed up and you have completed the tuning calibration process, then you might try resetting the calibration tables, also called global parameters. According to the Prophet 10 manual, this will not erase any user programs. To reset the global parameters to their default settings, hold down the record button, then press globals at the same time. After resetting the global parameters, you will need to perform a wheel calibration. First, set the mod wheel to its minimum setting. Then, hold the pitch wheel to its minimum setting. While holding the pitch wheel down, press and hold the globals button and press Program Select button 6. This calibrates the low points of both wheels. Now, release the pitch wheel so that it returns to center position. Hold the globals button and press Program Select button 7. This calibrates the center point of the pitch wheel. Finally, set the mod wheel to its maximum setting. Hold the pitch wheel to its maximum setting. By holding the pitch wheel down to its maximum position, press and hold the globals button and Program Select button 8. The high points of both wheels are now calibrated, and you can play the Prophet 10 again to see if it's holding a tune. If not, run the tuning calibration one more time and give it another listen. Finally, if you're still having tuning issues after all of this, you can try updating your firmware. I'm not going to go into any details about how to upgrade your firmware in this video, but if you're interested in seeing this, let me know and I can create a dedicated video just for that process. As I said on the outset, the Prophet uses voltage-controlled oscillators, and because of this, the instrument may never have perfect tuning up and down all notes across all oscillators. If you're expecting perfection, then you may be disappointed. However, if after doing all of these things I described here, and you believe the Prophet's tuning is still way off, then it may need a repair. I suggest contacting Sequential Support for further troubleshooting and to see if they recommend a repair. If you do need to repair your Prophet, it could be as simple as swapping out the main board like I did. The entire process took me about 45 minutes, and I'll link the video of that in the video description. Hopefully this video was helpful. If you liked the video, then please like the video, subscribe for more of my videos, and click the bell icon to be notified when I upload a new one. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.